starting to hate this song.
Why would you say that, Anton Mack?
I don't know. It's not as if we've heard it like 50 times already.
We have.
We are back with BGS on Dialogue Wheel. I am Anton Mack, surprisingly your host for this week.
Very surprising.
Oh, shush. Across on the board, we got Andy Borkowski. Say what up.
Move on.
And over to my right, we have my good boy.
Zach Fanny. You forgot my name. We've only been friends for 10 years.
I think it's been like 1.5, but
Feels like 10.
But we luckily got a copy of Prey and have been playing it a lot. I think I put in about like 80-ish hours.
80?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. What are you at?
I had like 20 and I almost beat the game 100%.
Yeah, but you're bad at video games.
That doesn't make sense.
If you're good, it takes longer to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're good.
Okay, anyways, yeah, Prey.
Yeah, we've been playing Prey a lot as of recent because we got a copy, which I personally think it is fantastic. Primo, what do you think?
I would use different words than fantastic and premium. No, it's great. It's exactly what we're kind of looking for in the current gaming climate. Because I don't know about you, but we played a lot of really, really good epic sagas that have great stories that make you really care about the characters, that had good gameplay mechanics. But this is a game that you can just kind of see the engineering all at work to make something that's better. It's like all these systems work together. So I can't even tell you how many times in this game I've walked into a new level and just thought like, okay, I will be able to choose what I do next. Very, very personal to me. And I know that Anton, when he walked into that same level, you did something exactly different.
Yeah, it's super hard right off the get-go. And even to a certain extent, I think I mentioned this to you earlier, but our different experiences are kind of akin to like Breath of the Wild, where we went in two totally different directions and had drastically different experiences and fights and stuff like
Really,
that.
tangibly, though? Like, it was tangibly different?
Games like Prey show me that you can have a big world that is like a space station, but each area is its own really, really dense and really crafted kind of level that you master and find all the secrets
So
for.
it's just like it feels like it's more consciously designed.
Oh, it's consciously designed because it's also like a space station. So it is consciously designed in a lot of ways. This made me want to be an engineer and then realize I was not good enough or smart enough.
But on that note,
And the note of Andy's failure.
so we obviously have such a high opinion of this game.
Yeah.
And we have been raving about it for the past while, telling all of our friends that it's great, you should pick it up now, like Zach Fanny over here, who doesn't want to shell
My
out
4
$80.
Facebook friends. Buy Prey, guys. Yeah.
But with that being said, there has been, I guess, a few issues with reviews coming out as of recent because of Bethesda's actual review policy, where streamers, reviewers, people of the media will only get the game a day prior to its actual release. With that being said...
So last year, Gary Steinman, Associate Director of Content at Bethesda, he used to be a game journalist. I remember he had some pretty good articles. He now works for Bethesda, which also kind of makes me feel weird. Like, I don't think journalists should work for then the people they were supposed to cover. Like, it feels like they've fallen to the dark side just a little bit, you know? It's probably a sweet gig, and, like, this job is terrible, so I get
I
it.
gave you that 90 on Skyrim. Where's that gravy, boy?
I guess they understand it because they know how to craft things for other people to read and consume. But we found out, we'll get to this in a second, Andy tirade, that Gary Steinman isn't just giving out, like, press releases. He's doing interviews with members of the team and making content.
They've become their own media arm.
Yeah, they're making journalism for it. And that's kind of what happens now when you buy out journalists to be a part of your company. You don't get them just to deal with journalists, but you get them to create media. And it really hurts people like, us that try to make that really interesting. I would have loved to interview the guys that made this game and go really in depth about the systems. Would have been incredible, but they closed up shop. And this all started, I think, last year when they did announce that at Bethesda, they will, like you said, only be giving out review copies a day before it's out around the world.
Yeah.
So whether you're IGN, whether you're GameSpot, whether you're Zach Fanny, the earliest you will get this is Thursday at noon.
Yeah.
This is the worst.
We'll get to that in a second. And the exact quote here in the news release says, "While we continue to work with media, streamers, and YouTubers to support their coverage both before and after release, we want everyone, including those in media, to experience our games at the same time."
Why? What?
Well, there's a few arguments on both sides.
There is
right?
a question. There
Yeah.
is a question.
It just it just seems like it's like, oh no, we're doing this for you.
Mhm.
Like, why are we living this like alternate reality now that they've created around their material?
So then, let me ask the question to you: does Bethesda's review policy hurt games like Prey, or
It hurts
just games
everything
in general?
Yeah. Everything.
You think so?
All the above. Yeah.
But why?
For sure.
How so?
Because you need, like, if games are a new medium, if you want them to kind of take a rightful place beside all the other art forms, you need active, independent criticism. The same way that the media arm in societies act as a check and balance, or they're supposed to act as a check and balance against the powers that be. If you start equating criticism with media like advertising and marketing, then you're really just treating games like a product instead of a piece of art that should be reviewed. And it sounds highfalutin, but honestly, like, if we want to take games seriously as artworks, we need to treat them like that, not as like finely tuned products that we're just churning out for mass consumption. And so it just shows like a complete disregard for that entire process. It shows that they don't take their games seriously as artworks. They see them as products, and they just want to maximize the profitability of that product.
I don't know, because I see it on the other side of it. Like, I like the policy to a certain extent in that everyone gets the game at the same time. You're speaking on like this higher art form, that's not a product, but it's something that you are experiencing and kind of to a certain extent has a social commentary, but at the same time having the ability for everyone to experience it at the same time means that everyone kind of makes their own decisions, not based on other people's opinions.
The idea that reviewers are hamstrung, that they have to say a review and produce one in the first 24 hours because the game is out, I kind of feel is a cop-out and a privileged position from reviewers. Because we haven't done a review yet. Me and Anton have really spent our time with it. And I think the only reason you would do a review that's rushed is because you want to reinforce a business model. If this is really a critic that's trying to find the higher art in this great medium, you owe it to whatever this game is to take the time to actually play it. A few things with that. IGN is a great example because they gave this game a 4. And the reason they gave this game a 4 is they had a game-breaking, one of the arms of IGN, because there's like 47.
Yeah.
They had a game-breaking bug that made it so they lost their save game 2 times. And they got an extra one from Arcane. So it also reinforces the fact that this is one person's opinion. This is really an individual's experience that becomes a 4 for IGN. That one person, Dan Stapleton's the man. His responsibility for that brand, for what Prey will do in terms of money and whether we're going to have a Prey 2, is because he had 2 failed save games. Because IGN gave it a 4.
IGN is not the height of
you're suggesting there's a meritocracy with all of this. And even when there are embargoes, people get it beforehand. Because we're not the biggest place, doesn't get access to the embargoes like everyone else. IGN and GameSpot still reign supreme because of, and other websites like that, because of their reach.
That's just an argument for why you should move more in the direction I'm saying of enforcing an equal embargo across all platforms and outlets.
So what do you think is the answer to the problem?
To give critics and streamers or whoever enough time to actually get to know your artwork, right, and like go in depth into it and enforce an embargo where you can release reviews.
Is this everyone? Like,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that everyone can actually craft criticism. We can actually build like a discipline around games.
Yeah,
and
but
thinking about games.
But then wouldn't that be more of an issue of the industry itself, and where have where things have gotten.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because it's one thing like, yeah, you may have gone it a day before the actual embargo, but there's no reason that you can't take 2, 3, even 4 days to actually make a comprehensive review where you go through.
Yeah, but materially that's true, but the whole point of an embargo is that it prevents the pressure of having companies do that. Because obviously, like for any critical outlet, the pressure, if they have only 24 hours, the pressure will be on them to churn out something really fast so that their stuff can be profitable.
Just because of the nature of
because it'd be profitable, so that people won't click on. We know this from doing it ourselves. People won't click on reviews if it's after the main gamut of reviews. So you're going to be, if you're a serious outlet or critic, you're going to be at the behest of IGN, churning out garbage reviews as fast as possible. The beauty of the embargo is that it just keeps that line there for everyone, so that IGN can do whatever it does. Fail at playing the game and then give it a 4, and it can also give another outlet the time to actually craft something meaningful. And so
it's a different animal.
It mitigates the pressure of having to churn out criticism.
The pressure is self-created, though. It's not like
obviously,
you don't have to,
you have
industries,
to. Your criticism has to be viable. And it's not their fault that
the criticism has to be viable versus it has to be quick. And I think, especially in the video game industry, there's a big problem with needing to be first rather than complete.
Yeah,
and there's a policy that Bethesda. It's possible that Bethesda's policy could, if enough AAA games, because remember they had this for games like the Skyrim remaster, they had this for Dishonored 2, they had this for Doom. If enough games are doing that, I think there could be a sea change in how a lot of these big reviewing outlets actually review.
For the worse.
But why would it necessarily be for the worse? I think if enough big games are like this, and it shows them, people are like, this hurt IGN that they put a 4 out. This hurt their credibility even more, that they let this person do that as opposed to letting him complete the game and having a critical analysis. Is it possible that this could change things in a way that makes it so the pressures that are self-inflicted of getting there first aren't as important because people already have the ability to purchase the game? And if you're giving reviews after...
No, those pressures will still exist.
Why,
because,
though?
especially with the big critical outlets, people still want to read what they have to say. And like a bigger point of that would be that then, criticism would become less important because, I can just, play the game myself. I don't need to...
Is the idea that criticism is meant to inform you about whether to purchase a game? Or is it meant to give you insight into the experience? Because
it's both. Yeah.
See, that idea, both. I think we can move away from trying to tell people whether you should buy this versus, because that's what streamers are for. That's what a lot of people's personalities are for that operate in the Twitch streaming universe, versus speaking about what this game offers in an experience and maybe connecting it with
those shouldn't be mutually exclusive categories.
I think that they really should, and I think they will.
Why?
If we have, because I think it hurts, each motive hurts the other.
So?
It takes away from your imaging if you're trying to talk more about how this game works. Like this guy that talked about how the save files didn't work and he lost in that way, and he ended up with a 4 as opposed to experiencing and talking about maybe the meta-narrative aspects of creating systems. There's a lot of depth here to dive into.
Those things are so mutually reinforcing because it on the one hand, it enforces your highfalutin criticism to be grounded in tangible examples from a game or text or whatever you're reviewing.
Why does it have to do that, though?
Because that's the pressure. You want to balance, I want to get at an idea, but I also want to make it clear of what people will experience so they know whether they should engage in the experience at all. So it kind of grounds stuff that might become too abstract, and it also kind of provides a motivation for people who are just doing basically a product model review for games to try to drive out a bigger idea. You want those.
How does it do that?
You want those pressures to be together. You don't want to kind of completely separate them, where you just have dissertations on the artwork of BioShock. But highfalutin criticism and then just product review. We should be treating artwork like products.
But that's what you're doing by saying that we still need to make sure this speaks to whether or not a person should buy this or not.
I'm just saying that should innately come out of criticism itself.
Okay, but why don't we just try to not have that?
It's one of those things where at the end of the day, it is a product, but it can still be critiqued as a higher art form. At the end of the day, and whether you believe that it should be mutually exclusive or two separate things, at the end of the day, they should be together. I should see a review and be
Zach
able
is right.
to.
Yeah, I agree.
Zach is totally right. High five.
Yeah.
Incorrect. Terrible.
Oh, you're the worst.
No, I do think it takes away from the impetus for why we talk about games. Because when you think about it, when we
The
want to
review
talk about
embargo thing.
games, no,
Bethesda's policy.
the idea that we are talking about games because we want to express to someone else whether or not they should play it. That's not why I want to talk about games.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if you are giving someone a review, you in turn are basically telling them whether they should buy it or not. Yes, because you want to talk about experiences and this higher understanding about social commentary and whatever it may be. There's a reason you're speaking about it, and you want to share this experience with others out there. Any final thoughts, Andy? Because you're the worst?
I think the answer to the question about whether or not this hurts gaming, I think that Bethesda's review policy could ultimately, if it was adopted by more game studios, change things so that we weren't chasing this cat and mouse game of just trying to get people to buy games and actually dive into some of the greater themes and the importance of what these stories have to say. I think Bethesda did it for bad reasons, but like most things that are done for bad reasons, you can find something that will make the world a better place.
Nope.
Yeah, you're wrong.
All right, or Hitler, please continue.
Okay, so this picks up on trends that are
Let me
already
just
harmful.
get this audio here.
Why is he on the board? This is a terrible decision.
All right, we got 18 seconds. Hurry
All right.
up.
It just furthers like already harmful trends in our culture where we are just commodifying absolutely everything in sight. And so by enforcing this kind of policy, it encourages people to treat games like products as opposed to the artworks that they really should be viewed as. It harms the way we look at games in a tangible, maybe irrevocable way.
Well, on that note, I'm Anton Mack with Dialogue Wheel on VGS.